and lower.
Yeah.
Okay, so today I plan to start with exception handling. Now, what do you understand by the meaning of the word exception or exception?
I'm guessing that there's some
Exceptional.
odd case that we're learning how to work around with.
So, what do you mean by exceptional?
Like really good.
Really good, right? So, how many players are exceptional in a team?
Probably one.
Probably one, right? So, these are very chances of occurrence is very rare, right?
Yes.
The chances of occurrence is very rare. We call it as exception case, right?
Yeah.
So, if I make a website and if I ask someone to enter his or her age, okay,
Yes.
so if 10,000 people have registered on my website,
Yeah.
I would expect more than 9,900, more than 9,900 people would enter their age in integer. I am 19, I'm 21, I'm 35, I'm 65,
Yeah.
yes or no?
Yes.
Okay, very rare exceptional cases will enter like this. What do you spell 19?
Yeah.
This one?
No, the
Yeah, very
19.
exceptional case will enter like this. Yes, no, maybe.
Yeah, that's right.
So on the LHS, I have taken a variable of which type to accommodate this in my programming?
Integer.
Integer. So most of my customers will this will work for. Let's say it will work for 9990. But 10 customers here and there will act notorious. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So now what to do with these cases? So these are what cases?
Off cases are
These
exceptional.
are exceptional cases. Now if I don't handle these exceptional cases, my program will crash. My program will crash and will throw errors on the screen. Am I understood?
Yeah.
So if this person submits the form, my application will crash because it will throw an error saying that you cannot store 19. A string cannot be stored in an integer variable, can it?
Yep.
So
No.
I need to handle such cases also. I need to keep in mind. So whenever we are developing a software, we have to think from the user's point of view, correct?
Yeah.
So if Tesla is making cars, it thinks, keeps the psyche of the driver in its mind, right? So if it's making for Canada, he'll make cars according to their road, their climatic conditions, their traffic sense. Yes or no?
Yes.
And if he's making car for India, he'll make as per their traffic sense, their roads, correct, their temperature. So the product needs to be developed keeping the end customer in mind. So as a programmer, I cannot assume that all the 10,000 customers will enter the data appropriately. There will be few exceptional cases. Now what do I do?
Could you possibly just like have an if statement afterward that if it is not
Too
valid,
many
then you
ifs, too many ifs is like, pasting the things, the chewing gum. So if your rear view mirror has broken down, so you apply chewing gum to fix it. So it
yes.
will be fixed temporarily, but it won't look good, right, for the long run. So
Yeah.
too many ifs. If you are using too many if conditions, is solution is that sort of. So
Okay.
you got to have a robust solution, the solution which is strong.
Yeah. Then I mean, my second guess would be that you can have some sort of like algorithm that checks the string, right, and then converts
No,
it to
this
an
is
integer.
this is just an example. Like if there like this, there are thousands of exceptions.
Yeah.
Thousands. There's okay. Now see, if I have integer numerator, integer denominator, okay,
Yeah.
I ask the user to enter both. Okay, I ask
Yes.
him, okay, you enter numerator. I scan it in a variable n.
Yeah.
Okay, and similarly I ask him to enter
Denominator.
denominator, and then I want to divide them. I want to divide them. So I know when it's division, chances are that I can get the answer in a fraction. So I
Yes.
do this and I display the answer. Correct?
Yeah.
Now I want you to get your calculator out and do this calculation for me. Do 10 divided by 2. What does it show in a calculator?
5.
5. Do 0 divided by 2. What does it show?
0.
Try 10 divided by 0.
Not defined.
Yeah, so
Math
this is
error.
an exception. This is an
Exception.
exception because the denominator cannot be 0. If the denominator is 0, the answer will be
So maybe
not
allowed.
defined or some show the infinity sign, something like that.
Yeah.
PPT को सब change भी कर दो. So now in such cases, what do you do? So you have exceptions which come to your help, your aid over here, correct?
Yeah.
So now I'll show you what is the default nature of exception. Like if there is no exception handling, then what runs in the background? So you have to understand the concept. It helps you understand the topic better. So okay, what are the list of topics in this? Okay, so this is in a chapter itself. It's a
Okay.
chapter in your subject core Java, exception handling. Okay, so what all topics we need to cover in this, master in this? So exception handling, first let's say we need to cover the, in what you called it as, the definition, what it actually means. Okay,
Yeah.
then the class hierarchies involved in exception. Some of the interviews they ask that hierarchy. Okay, then types of exceptions. Types of exception, they're primarily two types: checked and unchecked. Which two types?
Checked and unchecked.
Checked and unchecked. Okay, then
Yeah.
after that we will see the default nature of handling exception. Like if we have not implemented the mechanism by ourselves, then how does Java handle? Okay, how Java handles exception on its own. Okay, then we have the structure of exception handling, like how do we write the program for exception handling. Then we have the default exception handling. That's why I changed the topic to this, default exception handling. Then we have uh, multiple catch. Then we have nested try. Then we have throw and throws and throwable. Then we have user defined exception. So these are some of the bullet points which we have to cover in exception handling. Okay, so you can mark this in your notebook somewhere, so that at the end of this we can compare. So that you had mentioned multiple catch also initially, but I guess we didn't cover that practically. So can we have an example of that also? So I want you to take a note of all these. So if we cover all these topics, means we've covered exception handling, decent amount of exception handling. Clear?
Got it. No, but
Okay.
also you said that these is only some of the topics, right? So like, are there more?
Yeah, if you go deeper, there are more. Like the more you go deeper, the more you get. But as in core Java, if you know this much also, I guess we are more than sufficient. As
All
and
right.
when
Yeah.
as and when we'll need the advanced topics, we'll bring them up also. So
Alright, got it.
should not be a problem. If you do this much also is more than handsome for the beginner level. Okay.
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 Yep,
So
sounds good.
definition we've covered most of it. So
Most
okay, the definition we can say how to define an exception. You can define exception is an unwanted event. An unwanted
event.
which occurs at runtime, runtime, disturbing the normal flow of program execution. Disturbing the normal flow of program execution. So where does the exception occur?
At runtime.
Yeah,
At
so you got to
unwanted event.
yeah, so it's an unwanted event, right? I would not want anyone to enter 19, would I?
No.
No. So I would be happy that if everyone enters integers, right? So if someone enters this is unwanted for, correct?
Yes.
Now, if he has entered, if he or she has entered, this is an unwanted event which will disturb the normal flow of program execution, right? So now the program will crash out if I have not handled it. And exceptions, they occur at runtime. This is the catch. This is the catch. Exceptions occur at
Runtime.
so like when we do Java C, that is compile time.
Yes.
So if I get to know any error at Java C, I can rectify it right over there. So Java C, we get errors. What do we get?
Errors.
So errors can be syntax errors, logic errors, correct?
That's right.
Most of them are syntax, like you missed a semicolon, or you're using a class which is not spelled correctly, or this class does not contain this method, or this is the out of scope of the method. Like we were calling a non-static method with the class name, right? So,
Yeah.
so those were caught at which time?
At execution.
Compile time.
Compile time.
So,
Yeah.
so I can go and fix the error. So at compile time, the programmer can fix the error, right?
Yeah.
But when the website is live and running, when my application is up and running, it is hosted on the server and it is up and running, and 1000 subscribers have already registered for it,
Yeah.
and the 1001st subscriber is trying to act notorious. So where is this taking at? Runtime or compile time?
Runtime.
Yeah, so the exceptions occur at what time?
Runtime.
Runtime. So this is the catch, okay? Exception will occur at runtime. So what we do is we make the code execute it and we feel that the program is running fine and then we are relaxed. No, even when the program is running fine, it is still under the threat of exceptions, correct? So programmers have to keep in mind that even if the program is running, it can still terminate. An exception can come and can terminate the execution of the program. Would you want such thing to happen?
No.
So it's an wanted or unwanted event
Unwanted event.
occurring at
Runtime.
disturbing the normal flow of program execution, correct?
Yes.
So how does Java handle exception now? So how Java handles the exception is whenever an exception occurs of any nature, Java creates the object of that exception. What does Java do?
Creates an object of that exception.
Yeah, so if we have not, so till now, have we learned exception handling?
No.
So till now, what was Java doing in our programs? If there was any exception, what would Java do?
Would give an error.
Would create an
Object.
of that particular exception. So Java has inbuilt classes for all the exceptions. Java has okay.
No class for all exceptions.
I missed out a topic. Java inbuilt exceptions. Java built-in exception classes. Okay. So for each exception, Java has a Java has a
Exception class.
exception class. Okay, we'll study this in detail. So what Java does is, in the case of an exception, what would Java do?
Make its own object.
Make the object of that particular exception, correct? And throw the object and do what?
Throw the object.
If that object is not caught, so now were we catching all these objects?
No.
No, you know there's a festival in India, Holi, right? You might be knowing it.
Yes.
So people, you know, they have those water balloons.
Yeah.
So if I throw water balloon at you, and if you don't catch it, what happens? It spills on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, so what Java is doing is Java is throwing an exception object, and there's no one to catch it, because we are learning exception handling today, right? In the 6th session. So the previous 5 sessions, if any exception was being thrown, were we catching it?
No.
So
You're not.
we were not, right? So Java will create an object of the particular exception and throw the object. If we don't catch the object, if we
Don't catch the object
then it will spill on the console. Then the program will terminate. Program will terminate, and the exception will spill on the screen. That is called as the console. It's called as the. Are you getting the point?
Yeah.
What do you understand from this?
So basically, like, let's say we do that divide by zero example that we had, right? Their denominator, right? Let's say user does input 0 for D, and we don't have any exception for that.
Okay, you don't have any exception handling mechanism.
Yeah.
So what will happen?
It's just gonna spit some error.
Beautiful. I'll just show you that. Okay, I'll just show you a demo of that. Perfect. Good example. Let's do a demo of that. Okay. So
Yeah.
I'll take this. Okay, I will just be needing main for it right now. Right now we can just suffice with main at the moment. Okay. So I come here and I have integer, numerator, denominator, and I'll take the answer as double because I'll be doing dividing, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and now what do we have to do? Make object of which class?
Or we can just do n is equal to 2, d is equal to. Oh no,
Yeah.
that won't work.
Yeah, we'll just take it from the user so that we can understand the psyche also, like what happens. And then system dot out dot println.
Import the.
Yeah, we have to import the scanner also. Enter numerator. That will go in which variable?
That's gonna go in n.
N equals to sc dot next int, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then okay, I'll just do it over here only. You're too lazy to import. Correct?
Yeah.
And then copy and paste this. Correct?
Yeah.
And goes into D. And now what do we do? Sum equals to. And
or
now.
could just yeah.
And I'll just display the sum. Correct?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll just say that except main. Correct?
Yeah.
Save it. Let's make a new folder, new topic, exceptions, and save it as except main.java. Correct?
Yeah.
Let's try to run this. Okay, what is it saying? Semicolon at. Okay, so errors it will highlight at the compile time, right? This is Java says compile time.
Yes.
Okay, now what is it showing? Cannot find symbol sum. Okay, sorry. Just apply. Okay.
Yeah.
हो गया, compile हो गया, done.
Yes.
You know Hindi?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Java. Now see. Now let's enter the first one. 10 and 2. What do you get?
5.
All 5. Okay. Now this will act notorious. 10 and 0. What happens now? What
It's
is
not allowed.
the by birth? What is the nature of Java? That if it come across any exception, it will create an object of that exception class and throw it. If we don't catch it, it will spill on the screen and the program will terminate. Correct?
Yeah.
The reason the program will terminate is, so if I over here display, see, if I display over here Krish, will it display me Krish?
No, it will not.
Okay, let's do it again. Let's do it again. Compile. So I'm done. If I do 10 and 2, will it display me Krish?
Yes.
The program will keep on continuing, correct? Will it display me? Yes. But now if I do 10 and 0, the very moment it encounters an exception, it will terminate the program that very moment. Am I understood? So if we have 100 lines of code and the exception occurs at line number 7, the remaining 93 lines will be skipped and the program will be terminated straight away. And you'll see horrible messages on the console. Now see this. You see this? What did it say?
Exception in thread main, Java.
And what was the type of exception? Which?
Divide by 0.
Arithmetic exception. Java.lang. We have no Java.util.scanner.
Yeah.
So which exception? So the exception thrown was of which type?
Java.lang.arithmetic expression class.
Now did it display Krish?
No.
Because the moment the exception was thrown, at that particular moment only the program terminated, and it will spill the exception on the screen. Correct?
Yes.
So now we are happy. Like if you are giving an exam, we are very satisfied. Okay, my program is compiled. Now I am through. Now nothing to worry about. But if the examiner come and he enters, okay, let's see how your program works, and this happens, then he's saying there's no output over here. So even at runtime, things can go awkward, correct?
That's right.
So now what do we do? So this is the default nature of Java. If we are not doing exception handling, this is how Java treats your program as. Understood?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is sorted. Okay. Now what do we need to do to handle the exception? Okay. So which code over here is notorious?
Line 12.
Yeah, this code is suspicious, right? You know, in this pandemic, we got to know a term called quarantine.
Yes.
So this quarantine term was normally would be used in the jails. So if there's a prisoner and he's trying to get mischief in the prison, so he's kept in a different cell. He's kept in a. He's not asked to intermingle with the other prisoners. He's given his food at a separate time and he's left all by himself in a single cell. Correct?
Yeah.
So he is the infected person. So he is kept in privacy, correct?
Yes.
So he is quarantined. So here, which line should be quarantined? Which line is notorious and suspicious? 12?
Yeah.
So the part of the program which I as a programmer feel that at runtime it might create problems, I write that in the try block. In the which block? So what part of the code will I write in the try block?
The exception or like the notorious.
The part of the code. Okay, there's one more chance of an exception over here. Did you observe? Okay, I'll show you. This was the code.
Well, yeah, the scanner input, right? Because you're doing it like integers.
So what if I enter a? What if I enter a?
Then then that's not going to work.
Yeah, so it would throw an exception of that particular class, correct?
Yeah.
Let's run it. So enter numerator. I enter over here k. Now what? Will it ask me to enter denominator?
No.
No, because the moment the exception occurred, it will crash out. You see this?
Yes. Yeah.
And what is the type of it? Input mismatch exception. What was the type of the exception?
Mismatch.
Which in which package is it in? Java util. And this arithmetic is in which package? Lang. Okay. So if you see the names, they are classes A capital, E capital,
Yeah.
I capital, M capital, E capital, and they follow a particular pattern. They end with the keyword exception.
Yes.
So now see, it did not even accept the denominator, because the by birth Java's nature is whenever it comes across an exception, it will directly spill on the screen if you are not handling it. Am I understood?
Yeah.
So is it not this part also notorious?
Yeah, the whole thing.
So should I not place this entire stuff in try?
Yeah.
Get the point? Till year onwards, correct? Getting the point?
No, what exactly does the try function do?
Try is the monitoring part of the program. Like this is the part of the program where I fear can throw exception.
Okay.
So the suspicious part of the program which I feel. So out of 10 prisoners, I feel these two are notorious. So I'll quarantine them. I'll keep an eye on them. The CCTV cameras will be pointing to their room. So this line I feel is not a problem. This line I feel is not a problem. This I feel should be not a problem. This I feel is not a problem. But I feel these lines are notorious. Correct?
That's right.
So I'll keep them for monitoring. So try block. You write that part of the code which you as a programmer feel that at runtime this can create mischief. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll go one step at a time. So let's first focus on the try for this, okay? Then I'll come on the next topic, because we have lots of topics, right? So let's first focus on this. So now at the moment you are trying to say, sir, this is my code which I feel is suspicious, correct?
Yes.
So now what do I do to handle it? So now I have to handle this. By handling means we will prompt the user that please enter valid denominator, and the program will continue executing. Program will continue executing. Now this is a try block. Now handling part, this is the monitoring part, right? The line which I feel will throw an exception, might throw an exception, right? Exceptions are always ifs and buts, correct?
Yes.
Will it always throw an exception?
No, no, no.
But as a programmer, I feel so I'm taking a precaution, correct?
Yeah.
So what if it throws an exception? What do I handle it? So I do the handling part in the catch part. Which block?
Catch.
And now which type of exception am I forecasting?
Divide by 0.
Arithmetic exception it's called.
Okay.
It's called which method? Which exception?
Arithmetic exception.
Which package is it in?
Lang. Java.lang.
Java.lang is auto import. Your JVM automatically import java.lang. So we don't have to import this package. So directly I can use arithmetic with a E. Arithmetic with a E. So which class? Arithmetic. You see over here it is assisting you. And make an object of that, because Java will throw an object, correct? Java will throw an object. So that object will come in where? So,
okay, got it.
So what is being thrown? Object of arithmetic class. Where is it catching? In the object of arithmetic class, correct? It's like invoking a function. It's like invoking a function. What are we calling? Which method? What are we passing to it? What are 10, 20?
Integers.
Integers, exactly. So which type of object will the Java throw when it encounters the denominator as 0?
Arithmetic exception.
Will come in which object?
AE.
Can AE catch it?
Yes.
Because it's of the same type, correct?
Yeah.
And here we can do the handling part. Here is what we can prompt the user to say, please enter valid denominator, or you can say denominator cannot be 0, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, now tell me what will happen if I enter 10 and 2. If I enter 10 and 2, what happens?
It's gonna go and then it's gonna print.
It will display me some.
Yeah.
If I enter 10 and 0,
it will go to the catch.
As soon as this line is encountered,
Yeah.
Java will create an object of which class? Arithmetic, and will throw it. I have to catch it. Have I caught it?
Yes.
And my program will continue executing. I will still see Krish. Am I understood?
Got it. Yeah.
Got it? So the same program, I'm again doing it. Compile it and run it. Okay. Let's try with 10 and 2. What do you get?
5.0.
And Krish. And let's try with 10 and 0. What are you expecting? Tell me.
Denominator cannot be 0.
And will it display me Krish or not?
Yes.
Why yes? Because the program does not terminate, it keeps on continuing, right?
Yeah.
Beautiful. Got it?
Yeah.
So this is how you handle exceptions. Am I understood?
Yes.
So this is a simple vanilla flavor program of what is exception, okay? And it has one more block called as finally. Called as which block?
Finally.
Finally, okay. Irrespective of the exception occurs or not, will always be executed. Finally, irrespective whether the exception occurs or not, will always be executed.
So it's kind of like the else statement.
Huh?
Is it kind of like the else statements?
No. It's not like else statement. It is. It does all the cleanup job rather. Finally, it does all the cleanup job for that exception. Like if the exception has occurred, and if we are doing file handling, or we are playing with database, and the exception occurs, so we'll close the file, we'll close the database connection, everything.
Yeah.
So that sort of cleanup job is done by the finally part. So I was, as it is going to close the file and close the connection, whether exception would occur or not, irrespective. So
yeah.
if it occurs, I will still close the database connection. If it does not occur, I will handle the exception and then also close the database file and connection.
Yes.
So finally, will 100% be executed? Will 100% be
executed?
If the exception occurs, then so let's say after college you would go to your tuitions, and after tuition you would come home, correct?
Yeah.
So your pattern was college, tuition, home, correct? Okay.
Yeah, but some days tuition might not happen.
Yeah.
So even though you'll end up at home.
Yeah. So you are in college, you get a text from your tuition teacher, no session today. So college to home. So if the exception occurs, try catch finally.
Yeah.
If it does not occur, try and if you are writing finally, it will 100% be executed. Am I understood?
Yes.
So now what should be the output for 10 and 2?
It should be Dino cannot be 0 and then crash.
10 and 2.
No, because finally it's 100% executed, right? So it's still gonna be.
Okay, sorry.
Thank and then crash. So 5 thank crash. That's gonna be.
So if you go to a mall, you purchase. At the exit, the watchman says, "Thank you, visit again." If you go to the mall, you don't purchase, will still tell you, "Thank you, visit again." Correct? So if I enter 10 and 2, 10 and 2 will display me
5. You visit again, then crash.
Beautiful. And if I enter 10 and 0,
then Dino cannot be 0. Thank you, visit again, then crash.
Correct? Getting the point?
Yeah.
Perfect. So let's try the demo. Compile, run. Give me 10 to, okay? 5.0, thank you again, Krish. And
Yes.
10 and 0, what?
Cannot be 0, then thank you, visit again.
You're getting the point?
Yeah.
So this normally does the cleanup job. This normally does the cleanup job, okay?
Yeah.
Is this pattern understood? This was the structure of exception handling. What was this?
Exception handling.
This was point number this. Getting?
Yes.
Okay. Now, default exception handling. What is default exception? What is default in switch case? Tell me.
It's like does no matter what. Like sorry, no, I'm sorry. It's iterates through the things happening before it, right? And then if all of those don't, or if they're not valid, right, then that the default statement is executed.
So if I have a switch case to enter a number 1, 2, and 3,
Yeah.
and if I enter, so what? How many switch cases will I have? Case 1, case 2, case 3.
Case 3. Yes.
What if you enter 7?
Then it's gonna go to the default case, and if there is no default case, then it will continue.
Yeah, if there's no, so default will handle everything apart from that, correct?
Yes.
So if whatever I am sure of, I'll enter as cases, and whatever I am not sure of will go in default.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yes.
So these exceptions classes, they have a hierarchy. They have a, let me Google it for you rather. What do we need to search? Hierarchy of exception in Java. Getting the point? Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Let's take this example. Simple one. Okay. Okay. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So checked exceptions and unchecked exceptions, they all report to which class?
The compile time exception.
Exception.
Or
And exception reports to which class? Throwable. And throwable to which is the great grandparent class in Java?
Object.
Object. So it's like a paradox. You know what's a paradox?
Yeah.
Like a statement having contradictory meaning, like change is permanent.
Yeah.
You know? This, what do you call, child is the father of man. Back to the future. So one sentence has a contradictory meaning, correct?
Yes.
So object is a class. Object is a
Class.
Yeah, so with a capital O. So which class am I talking about?
The object class.
Object class. It All the classes in Java inherit from this class, correct? So you can call it as the Adam class. So it's the Adam class for Java. All mankind have inherited from Adam. So this is the object class. So irrespective whichever class I make, every individual human being possesses some DNA of Adam and Eve, correct? If we believe that these two are the first couple with which mankind started. So every individual DNA person possesses the DNA of Adam, correct? Directly or indirectly. So his son possess the direct DNA, and we are via great grandparent, 100 generations, 200 generations, 500 generations, 1000 generations. If we go up the ladder, we'll see that we meet at a particular same parent. Yes or no?
Yeah.
So class student, is it extending from Object, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, by default, every class in Java extends which class?
Object.
Object class, directly or indirectly, even if you specify or even if you don't specify, correct?
Yeah.
So that is the top of the hierarchy. Okay. Then from there, what do we have?
Throwable.
Throwable. Then, so the exception hierarchy begins at throwable, correct? So one son of Adam went to China. So the Chinese descendants started from there, correct? One went to Russia. The Russian descendants started from there. One came to India. The Indian descendants started from there, correct?
Yeah.
So object has lots of children. The one related to exceptional handling. So who is the grandparent of exception handling now?
Throwable.
Throwable. And throwable has two kids. Exception and error. The one which occurs at runtime is an exception, and one which occurs at compile time is an error. Broad meaning, a layman meaning. Correct? So this is how the hierarchy has split. Okay, and now all the classes of exception inherit from whom? From the exception class. Correct?
Yeah.
So arithmetic exception extends from whom?
Run. It goes from exception
Except
to
no, forget about this now. This was like 1,000 years, 5,000 years ago. Now let's come to the new generation. So sir, I know my father, my grandfather, my great grandfather. Maybe 5, 6 down the line, I know my lineage. Ahead of that, even I don't remember the names. Okay, so these are all before Christ. You can skip them.
Yeah.
Now let's come to the modern age. So what we have, what we remember? Sir, all the exception classes inherit from which class?
Run. Exception.
Okay, arithmetic exception from arithmetic. Invalid input. What was the exception? When we were putting C for scanner, input mismatch exception. Do you see this?
Yeah.
So what does that do? Inherits from
Like
exception. Okay, blah blah blah, like this. There are many. So this is the topic over here. So this is our topic, built-in exception classes. So this is I will teach when I take this topic up, correct?
Yeah.
So right now we have seen two built-in exception classes, namely arithmetic exception and
Input mismatch.
and there are many. We'll do practical for both of them, all of them, correct?
Yeah.
So they all extend from which class?
Yeah. Exception class.
Now let's come back to this where we had done last week. What is this?
That's like parent class is the new child class.
Parent class reference can point to child class object.
Yes.
So if an arithmetic exception is thrown, can a reference of exception class catch it?
No.
Yes.
Wait. Sorry. Yes. I was thinking the other way. Yes.
If an exception of which is thrown,
Arithmetic.
can a reference of exception class catch it?
Yes.
Yes. So if we are not sure about what sort of exception will it throw, correct? If I am not sure what sort of exception the program will throw, so what do I give in the catch? If I am not sure whether it will throw arithmetic exception or what do I give in the catch?
I am not sure.
Exception. Just give the exception because this will catch all the exceptions.
Okay, like that. Yeah. Got it.
So what sort of exception is being thrown at line number 15?
The denominator cannot be 0.
Arithmetic exception.
Yeah.
But who's catching it?
Exception.
So this is the default exception. It will catch all.
Got it.
Getting the point?
Yeah.
So exception will catch all the exceptions. So if I do compile and run, you will see that the program will execute perfectly without any problem. Okay, so 10 and 8, 1 thank you visit again, 100 and 0, getting the point?
Yeah.
So this is the default exception handling. So if you are unsure what sort of exception will be thrown, so give what in the catch block?
Exception, or then object name.
Getting the point?
Yeah.
So this is how it handles the exception by default. So default exception. Understood this?
Got it.
Okay, now let's come to our point which we were discussing in the start. Now, can one try block throw more than one exception?
Yes.
Yes. So if we put the try over here, then this single try block at line number 11, at line number 13, and at line number 15 can throw me two different types of exceptions, correct?
Yeah.
So I should be ready with those many catches.
Yes.
So first I will have a catch for what?
Arithmetic exception.
Arithmetic exception. Then second I will have a catch for what?
Input mismatch exception.
Beautiful. Input mismatch exception is in which package?
The util line. Not sure.
Util. Okay, so you got to import that. And these two objects cannot be same. So you have to give a different name to the object. So give AE and give IME. Okay?
Yeah.
IME is in which package?
It's in util.
Util. Okay. So let's import util, as it is will be needing util, right?
Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah.
Now this, if the exception occurs at line number 13, will go in which catch?
It's gonna go to input mismatch.
So what will we say? Please enter valid number only, or please enter digits only, correct?
Yeah.
And if it goes the second one over here, which exception?
There's gonna be a arithmetic exception.
Denominator cannot be 0, and it will always go in finally, and the code will continue executing. Understood?
Got it. Yeah.
Okay, if any third type of exception occurs apart from this, something else only occurs. So for that we can have the catch. For that we have the exception. We can have the, that is the default one, right? So we always have the default at the below.
Yes.
So we can say something went wrong. Okay. Okay. You can also display this object as it is. So that will display what went wrong. As of now, I'll just write this. So if any third exception occurs apart from this, we'll go in this catch, correct?
Yeah.
So how many catches for one try?
Infinite.
Multiple. So this comes to which point? Multiple catch, correct? Okay. So let's test this now. Let's test this. Okay. So I guess I'm good to go with this. So compile and run. Okay. If I enter over here 10, if I enter over here y,
then it's gonna be the input mismatch.
So the very moment the exception occurs, Java will create an object of that class, input mismatch exception. I will throw it. If we have caught it, if we have a matching catch to it, it will go in our catch, correct?
Yeah.
And this will handle that exception.
Yes.
And then things will go on as fine, correct? You see this?
Yes.
Let's come again. Enter numerator 10 and 0. Now,
Now the input exception.
correct?
Not. Yeah.
And now 10 to, correct?
Yeah.
So we can have what?
Multiple exceptions.
Correct. This is multiple cache. Understood this?
Yes.
Okay. Now let's do a note on, okay, understood this class hierarchy,
Yeah, that's awesome.
definition.
Yes.
Okay. Now let's do, and only we have done 2 from here, right?
Yes.
So we'll study more of it. Okay, let's do this. Types of exception. What is checked? What is unchecked? Okay, let's try to help this. Let's try to simulate this with the help of example. Okay.
Yeah.
So, okay. So we all have given university exams, or what we call over here as board exams in India, 10th and 12th standard, correct?
Yeah.
So it's a landmark exam in any student's life. So
Yeah.
the more it's important to a student, it's equally important for the parent also. So we've
Yeah.
seen parents praying on that day, keeping fast on that day, so that the ward succeeds, correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
Yes. So if this is the house of the candidate and this is the exam center, this person is leaving the house and his mom is telling him, have you kept your iCard, your identity card, right? What do you call it as? Hall ticket? We would call it as a hall ticket. What do you all call it?
It's ID. It's the same thing.
Yeah. So she is asking the student, have you taken your hall ticket? He says, yes, I have taken it. She
Yeah.
says, show it to me. What does he say?
Yeah, sure.
Just by saying yes, she will not be satisfied. She says what?
Show it to me.
And when he shows it to her, then only she asks, will release him.
Yeah.
Okay. Then she says, have you taken a spare pen? Have you taken a? Because borrowing is not allowed in the exam hall.
Yeah.
He says, yes, I have taken a spare pen, mom. What does he say?
Show it to me.
Unless until he shows her the spare pen, she will not let him go.
Exactly.
Okay. This hall ticket missing exception will occur where?
At the entrance.
At the exam hall,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Ink over exception will occur where?
Sorry, what was that last part? Your voice cut out a little bit.
Ink over or pen, what do you call? He's taken a pen with the ink is over. So
That can happen during exam, so that's gonna happen like all
ink
the time.
over exception will occur where?
During the exam.
So this is the compile time, right? And this is the run time. You agree with me? Like when he's writing the exam, he's in run time, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And this is the mother. So this mother, she foresees, because she also has given her exams, so she as an experienced candidate, she foresees that such situations occur in the exam hall. People forget their entrance, the hall ticket, then they are asked to write an application letter, go to the principal, take a signature, waste 10-20 minutes, right? And in the exam room, one minute is very precious, correct?
Exactly. Yeah.
And if she's seen that people normally they the ink, they run out of a pen, and they are borrowing pen from here and there, and then the invigilator feel that they are copying, asking for answers, then they ask him, go and sit at the corner, something happens, right?
Yeah.
So she as an experienced candidate foresees that this might occur at runtime. So at compile time only she will ask the kid that, have you taken precaution for all these exceptions which can occur at runtime? and when the kid shows her the handling mechanism, that he has taken the mechanism, he has taken the precaution and he has shown it to her, then only she will release him, then only the code will compile, correct?
That's right.
So the exceptions which the compiler wants at compile time, that these exceptions might occur at runtime, and what precautions have you taken for them? When you show the compiler the precautionary steps, okay, I have taken the adequate precaution, now please compile the code, then only the compiler will compile the code. Those are called as checked exceptions. Called as?
Checked.
Am I understood?
Yeah.
And those exceptions which the compiler also does not want are called as?
Unchecked exceptions.
Okay, so those, there are few things which might happen at the exam hall which the parent also not aware of, correct?
Yeah.
So if the exam was scheduled at 11:30, so 11:30 the bell rings and the students start writing the exam.
Yeah.
Okay, the van which was supposed to get the question papers from the printing press, that van, the papers reached the office 15 minutes late. What time did the papers reach?
11:45.
So this was paper late exception, right? So was the mother aware of this, that the papers
No.
might be late also?
No, it was not.
Which she was not aware of it, right? So such exceptions which the mother also is not aware of is called as unchecked exception. Am I understood?
Yes.
So the exception always occur at runtime. So what people say is checked exception occur at compile time, unchecked occur at runtime. That's incorrect. Exception will occur at
Runtime.
runtime. Those which are warned by the compiler at compile time are checked exceptions, and those which are not warned by the compiler at compile time are called as unchecked exceptions. Am I understood?
Yes.
So if you use buffered reader as your program, what do you use?
Buffered read.
So buffered reader is will throw a checked exception. Will throw a.
Checked.
So you have to compulsory write buffered reader in try catch. You have to compulsory write buffered reader in to show the compiler that I have taken the necessary precautions for buffered reader. Please compile the code. If you write buffered reader without try catch, it will not compile because you have not shown the compiler that you have taken the precautions.
Yeah.
Am I understood with this?
Yes, that's.
So can you please reiterate what have you understood?
Like between cache and checked and unchecked exceptions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So basically, checked exceptions are those that are like initially checked by, let's say in this case, the mother or like compile time here, right? And unchecked exceptions are those that are unknown to even the compiler and they can occur just during runtime.
So the exceptions which we did all were unchecked exceptions. All what? Till now, the two exceptions which we did were
Unchecked.
because even if I don't show any handling mechanism, my code still compiles, right?
Yeah.
Now, is it not that this exception can throw arithmetic exception? Yes or no?
Yeah.
I should now first share the code with you, else I'm overwriting the code. So I'm going to say an example for all the 3-4 points. So the code got overwritten. I should have picked the code and Krish. Okay. So now see. Now is it not? Sorry. Is it not that this code can throw an exception? Yes or no? Yes, no, maybe.
So,
Yes.
what was the question?
Can this code throw an exception or not?
It can throw an exception, but we're not catching anything.
So, but the code will still compile. But the code will still
compile.
So this exception is checked, unchecked exception. What are the exceptions?
Unchecked exception.
Because had it been a checked exception, the compiler would not compile the code only of the first part. because we have not shown the compiler any handling mechanism. The compiler will only compile the code in case of checked exceptions when you have shown the handling mechanism to the compiler. And if you don't show the compiler any handling mechanism, it will not compile. But this code will still compile. This code will still compile. See, it's compiled.
Yes.
Means these are what? Which exceptions? So arithmetic exception, input mismatch exception is which exception?
Unchecked.
Okay, now let's try to use buffered reader. Let's try to use what? Buffered reader. BR is new. Buffered reader. New input stream reader. New input stream reader, and that will take from the keyboard. Okay, correct?
Yeah.
Now as I've made an object of this, now I'll say enter numerator. Okay, in that we have read line. What do we have in buffered reader? What do we have?
BR.
Dot read line, and then we have to convert it to an integer. We have to convert it to an integer explicitly. So how do we do that? Correct?
Yeah.
Okay, similarly over here. Now this buffered reader is buffered reader is will always throw which exception? Checked exception. Will throw which exception?
Except
Check. So now if you compile the code will not compile at first place.
Line 14 should have been with a D, by the way.
Line 14.
D in the front, very first character.
Line 14. Okay, sorry. Okay. Now let's compile this code, and you will see the code will not compile. Is it compiling? Okay, we haven't imported it first. So buffer reader is an IO package. Which package is buffer reader in?
IO.
Input output. All the reader writer classes are in the IO package. Which package?
IO. Yeah.
So now it is saying unreported exception, IO exception must be caught or declared to be thrown. So the mother is telling, I want you to show it to me. How you will handle it?
Yeah.
I will not compile the code unless you show it to me. So what you will say? Okay, mom, don't worry. I have taken the precaution. This is your area which you feel. Okay, so I have taken precautions. Don't worry. Just empty also would do. Just empty also would. Just by merely showing the pen to her, she's happy. Now, have we taken the mechanism to catch it?
Yes.
Yes. Now it's okay. Now it's satisfied. Now it will come. What is this? Sum not initialized. Where is sum?
I think I have to maybe put it inside.
Okay. Yes, you should have put it over here. Okay. Clear?
Yeah.
So this is called as checked and unchecked exception. Understood?
Yes.
So the exception which the compiler will not compile the code unless you have shown him the handling mechanism are called as checked exceptions, and for those exceptions which the compiler doesn't warn you is called as unchecked exceptions. So arithmetic exception is unchecked, mismatch exception is unchecked, but your buffer data exceptions are
checked.
It's a IO exception. What is it called?
Input output exception.
IOE capital exception. Understood?
Yeah.
So we've done this also. Correct? I can take that also off.
Yeah.
Correct? Now we've done a part of this, right? So we've done 3 exceptions today. We've done how many exceptions from this part? We've done arithmetic. We've done input mismatch, and we've done
IO.
Now, as we go on forward, we'll do the other exceptions also, correct?
Yeah.
So I can say this is partly done, correct?
Yes.
Now with this, we'll do it tomorrow. Yeah. Make
Yeah.
sense? Okay?
Yeah.
Make sense?